Africa, we move to the eastern part of the continent. Wanjiku Manyara, Chief Executive of the Petroleum Institute of East Africa, is quoted as saying universities in the region really teach oil and gas courses. This has led to a shortage of trained oil and gas engineers, specifically after continuing discoveries have positioned the region as a future global hotspot. Muendia Nyaga, the lead consultant at Oil and Energy Services and the former MD of the downstream state-owned National Oil Corporation of Kenya, joins us in Nairobi. Mnduya, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Can the discoveries afford to wait for the human resources to catch up?
Hello. Yes, the industry somehow can afford to wait, but it will be at a cost. It will mean that we'll have to use expatriates for all types of labor that are required in the industry, which will certainly be quite expensive.
Before we move on to the labor implications that having expatriates come into the region might have, let's quickly look at the response by various governments in the eastern region. Are we seeing any initiatives or any programs that are cropping up in trying to respond to these discoveries?
The first initiatives that we saw started in Uganda with the response by the Makerere University in establishment of BSc programs in geosciences, and also some setting up of a middle-level college far in northwestern Uganda that was meant to train middle-level technical jobs. Looking around Kenya, we have been seeing quite a number of initiatives going on, though most of them are very, very much at infancy. Universities are discussing curriculums for some different types of BSc programs. The ones that I'm aware of is BSc in geoscience and also some petroleum engineering courses that universities are planning. But looking around, you don't hear anybody who is planning for mid-level technical jobs, you know, like welding, mechanics, and plant operators, which is a big concern.
Let's just look at, take a step back, perhaps, Muendia, and ask the question whether traditional universities are best suited to actually respond to this particular gap, given the fact that sometimes these institutions don't always have the agility that is required. Are we finding that governments are trying to maybe plug in this gap with other short-term focused institutions that can really see the acceleration of human capital?
I would say that so far the government side is not yet looking at that level of the middle-level colleges. In fact, I would say that we have had a conversion of quite a number of middle-level colleges here in Kenya to universities, and were given university charter, which is likely to create even a bigger gap than is likely to have been there if these were not converted. But all the same, you hear discussions at all levels where now there's appreciation that there is a significant gap in capacity, and if Kenya is going to head to production, then this gap needs to be covered. But at the middle level, not much action is going on. A lot more needs to be done, in my view.
Give me an indication, maybe, Mwenda, whether international institutions have come to the party in terms of the provision of scholarships and the attraction of Kenyans, Ugandans, and all sorts of people from the region to go into these universities that perhaps have established these courses and these degree programs. Are we seeing a greater movement of people into international universities?
Yes, the industry is responding to the needs ahead and has already started discussing with the universities and carrying out studies of what is likely to be required. So we expect that the industry will support in the creation of the relevant curriculums at the university level especially. And there's even some initiatives, again, from the universities to assist in creation of even master's programs, especially in geosciences, that can create, that can train the required personnel in the technical fields. I would say that the response of the industry to the emerging need is quite positive, and they are willing to assist where necessary.
Mwenda, let's finally look at the impact it has, or the impact of not having the required skills has on the negotiating process for countries. One would think that this immediately puts them on the backbone as they negotiate their contracts for these extractive resources. What are governments trying to do or thinking about doing in terms of making sure that they don't cede too much power away just because they don't have the human capital to meet the needs and the requirements of foreign investors?
You see, the government has been licensing for a long time. In fact, before this discovery, I would say that probably the only job that the government was doing very, very much consistently is the licensing of exploration companies. They would come in and they would not experience exploration success, and they would leave. Then other players would come in, and there were several cycles when several players came in and got licensed. So the government had somehow perfected, the area of licensing, had international consultants advising it at several stages and different points in time. So I wouldn't think that the licensing process would have been very significantly affected by the low capacity. The capacity that doesn't exist is to move things ahead from there. After exploration, then you make a discovery, and then a different set of decisions need to be made for resource optimization, the development planning and approval of development plans, and also, production scheduling and revenue management issues that do come in arising from the successful discoveries. And that is where the gap is very, very significant. So from a licensing point of view, I don't think there would be very significant success. Although, I would say the government can still do better in training its people in all areas.
Mwende, thank you so much for making the time to join us. Of course, that was Mwende Nyaga, the lead consultant at Oil and Energy Services.